Music and children are the two things in life that make me the happiest. Children and then music. They're the best. I have 3 children and 7 grandchildren who I adore. I took my grandchildren to the zoo, but I already had a headache when we left. I took my medication, but it didn't go away. It got worse as the day went on. For me, it was important they still have a good time. I just went to my car to rest and I threw up while they carried on with the visit. I was 16 when I had my first ever migraine. I had really severe headaches, but I didn't know they were migraines. Everyone told me, it's stress, you're tired. Then my mother took me to see a neurologist who performed an electroencephalogram that gave no clue and no diagnosis. Even before I went to see my doctor, I was at the cégep staying with some friends. One night they picked me up off the floor. My headache was so bad that I'd passed out. I couldn't stop being sick. So they brought me to the hospital, and the doctors thought I was on drugs.
A migraine is more than just a headache. To fit the diagnosis, it has to be a headache with hypersensitivity to sound or light, and in general, some nausea or sometimes vomiting. But migraine symptoms vary greatly from one person to another, and there are many other symptoms, like dizzy spells and muscle pain too. Difficulty concentrating, irritability, which contributes actually to the impact that has on someone's life.
There are times in my life, like when I went through menopause, when I've never felt so sick. For 6 weeks, I couldn't even get out of bed. I tried to drink some water and I would vomit. And well, at that point, my doctor seemed to be really desperate. She just didn't know what to do with me. Even at the hospital, they didn't do anything.
Chantal is a lot like many of my other patients. We see someone who has lived her whole life with severe, debilitating migraines that have impacted her personal life, her working life, her family, and who hasn't had access or been able to access the treatments that are available for many reasons. Is it because she lives in a rural area? Because she worked very hard and was busy taking care of her family, so she didn't have time to take care of herself? Is it because she thought that migraines didn't really count as an illness, or that there wasn't any treatment available?
All my life, I've experienced a lot of prejudice toward my migraines. For example, at work, a colleague of mine, he just kept on saying, "Oh, I can't understand why you skip work when all you have is a stupid migraine. When I have a migraine, I pop a Tylenol. Poof, that's it." The misconceptions that I've heard about migraines are, you work too much, you're stressed out, you need to relax, you just don't know how to manage your stress. As if I hadn't already tried all that.
When you have to live with migraines, but then hear these prejudices from those around you, well, the consequences might be quite damaging, because the person might actually feel like they are responsible or that they have no support. So they start to hide their symptoms and most likely will not seek the right medical care. So these patients suffer in silence. And well, sometimes they spend years like that and then end up seriously ill over time because they didn't get any treatment.
My neurologist, Dr. LaRue, when I first went to see her, it was the first time that I'd met someone who really got my reality. Thanks to Dr. LaRue, my life has really improved. I have migraines much less often now. I used to have them non-stop, so people can't believe it. Now I have 7 to 9 migraines a month instead of between 17 and 20. But just the improvement in my life, it's great for me. But I've noticed they're less powerful. I still have the heavy ones, but those are much less frequent.
We now have new treatments available for migraines. They target what are called CGRP proteins. What's interesting about these treatments is that they can be used both to prevent and to treat migraine attacks. And for the very first time, we actually have a treatment that is produced on the basis of scientific understanding of what happens during a migraine attack. And that, I think, is a great step forward.
Today, with the treatments I have, I can do much more than before. I've always had a vegetable garden. It's something I've always loved. And recently I also started growing flowers because I find them so beautiful. Before, with the children and work and everything else, I really didn't have the time. I love it though. Not the weeding, I hate that. But I love seeing my flowers grow.